Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Newsom, and the event that I attended was called Outlaw in Policing LGBTQ plus Identities. So basically, this particular event, this this particular event, the purpose of the event, it talks about how the LGBTQ community is constantly faced with problems of stereotyping and also discrimination. So, the event pretty much discussed how the LGBTQ community suffers from, like, in a way they suffer from like oppression, stereotype, and discrimination and acceptance by the law enforcement. The law enforcement, I guess they look at people who are part of the LGBTQ community somewhat as a threat, or they look at them as person that would do harm. So they tend to get the most, they go through the most oppression and they deal with the most grief due to the fact that they identify themselves as, some identify themselves as being lesbian, gay, transgender. Many transgender, if you're trans male, you tend to identify yourself as a guy, whereas it may be vice versa for a trans woman. Well, a trans male may identify himself as a girl, and a trans female may identify herself as a guy. But it could be vice versa, no matter what it is. But the police tend to treat them slightly differently. They don't necessarily treat them how they want to be treated. Many people are comfortable with themselves, and they want people to be comfortable with them as well. And they want people to identify them how they identify themselves. And many times going through this, the law enforcement is not really, you know, I feel as though when it comes to the LGBTQ community, the cops are not really friendly of this community, and they do mistreat people who are part of this community. Now, I know lately, this is not something that many people talk about. More so, you hear something about like the BLM movement, Black Lives Matter movement. But, this is also a problem. Not knocking the movement, but we also have to pay attention to other problems like the LGBTQ community, because there are also people of color that are part of that community. And I feel as though you should treat them um how they want to feel. You want to treat them with respect, treat them like they're human. Because at the end of the day, no matter how we identify themselves, whether we identify ourselves as gay, lesbian, straight, bi, no matter what sexual identification you identify yourself as, you're still human at the end of the day. Um, and the main idea of the event, basically, I said like how the law enforcement treats people of the LGBTQ community. So basically, they tend to treat them a lot different. They don't really treat them, you know, I don't know if they look at them as more of a thing or a human being. But because, you know, a lot of people don't accept that community, they tend to down talk them. They tend to make them feel less of themselves. And I have friends who are part of this community, and some of them have been disowned by their families, and some of them, just pretty much, you know, always felt a sense of isolation. And we want them to feel like one of us. We want them to feel equal. In conclusion, everyone should be treated equally. Like everyone should be treated as one. Make them feel like they're welcome. Everyone should feel protected. Everyone should feel, you know, like someone cares about them. And at the end of the day, we're all human in spite of how we identify how we identify ourselves. No matter, like I said, doesn't matter what our preference is. We're all human at the end of the day. We bleed same blood. We bleed red blood. And I feel as though, we should all be treated fairly. And that's what I got out of this event. I had no idea that the LGBTQ community suffered this much with law enforcement. But now that I know, I feel as though changes should be made behind this, and law enforcement should do better with protecting them. This concludes my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great evening.